The house on Harrow Lane. The small town of Pinebrook had always been peaceful, but there was one house on Harrow Lane that everyone avoided. The old Victorian mansion had been abandoned for decades, its windows boarded up and its yard overgrown. Whispers circulated about strange occurrences and eerie sounds coming from within, but no one ever dared to investigate. One crisp autumn evening, a young journalist named Clara arrived in Pinebrook with a determination to uncover the truth behind the mansion's dark reputation. She had heard the stories and was intrigued by the idea of unraveling a mystery that had terrified locals for so long. With a flashlight, a camera, and her notepad, Clara made her way to the mansion, determined to document her findings. The front door creaked ominously as she pushed it open, revealing a grand but dusty foyer. Cobwebs hung from the chandeliers, and the air was thick with the musty smell of decay. Clara's flashlight beam danced across the walls, revealing faded wallpaper and abandoned furniture covered in sheets. As she explored the ground floor, Clara noticed something peculiar. The dust on the floor was disturbed, as if someone or something had recently walked through. Her heart raced, but she pressed on, taking notes and photographs. She ascended the grand staircase, each step echoing through the empty house. The second floor was even more dilapidated. Paint peeled from the walls and old portraits hung crookedly. Clara's flashlight flickered, and she had to tap it a few times to get it working again. In one of the bedrooms, she found a large, ornate mirror. Its surface was covered in grime, but Clara wiped it clean, revealing a reflection that made her blood run cold. The reflection didn't quite match the room. Behind her in the mirror, Clara saw a shadowy figure standing in the doorway, a figure that wasn't in the room with her. Clara spun around, but the doorway was empty. She turned back to the mirror, but the figure was gone. She chalked it up to fatigue and nerves, but a creeping unease settled in her chest. She continued her investigation, making her way to the attic, hoping to find clues that would explain the house's sinister reputation. The attic was a maze of old trunks and forgotten relics. Clara rummaged through boxes, finding old letters and photographs that hinted at the house's past. One photograph, however, caught her eye. It showed a family standing proudly in front of the mansion, but the faces were obscured by shadow. There was something wrong with their eyes. They seemed hollow, as if something had stolen their souls. As Clara examined the photograph, a cold breeze swept through the attic, extinguishing her flashlight. The darkness was almost suffocating. Clara fumbled for her phone, using its screen as a light source. In the dim glow, she noticed something strange. The shadows in the attic seemed to be moving, coalescing into a shape. Suddenly, she felt a presence behind her. Clara turned and saw the shadowy figure from the mirror standing in the attic, its hollow eyes glowing with an eerie light. Panic surged through her, and she stumbled backward, knocking over a stack of boxes. The figure moved closer, its form becoming more solid and menacing. Clara's phone flickered and died, plunging her into darkness. She heard whispers, cold, malevolent whispers surrounding her. She tried to run, but the shadows seemed to reach out, pulling her back. Her heart pounded as she felt icy hands grip her shoulders, pulling her toward the figure. Desperate, Clara managed to find her way to the stairs and fled down them, her breath coming in ragged gasps. She burst through the front door and stumbled into the night, not stopping until she was safely away from the mansion. The next morning, Clara returned with local authorities, but the mansion was as it had always been, silent and empty. There were no signs of her presence or any evidence of what she had experienced. Her notes and photographs were gone, as if they had never existed. Clara left Pinebrook that day, never to return. The house on Harrow Lane remained abandoned, but the locals knew something had changed. The whispers about the mansion grew darker, and no one dared to approach it again. They said Clara had learned the hard way that some mysteries were best left undisturbed, and the mansion waited silently, ever hungry for the next curious soul.